was, showed them, here's the scene that we shot. And I think it was pretty eye-opening for a lot of them because, we're just in a ballroom at a hotel. So it's not like we had set decoration and all this stuff. But with the right aperture and the right camera and the right, coverage and all that stuff, it actually turned into a nice little scene. And, we had professional actors in there. And so it was a really cool opportunity, I think, for them. And historically, the kids walk away from that like, holy cow, drinking from a fire hose for 2 days, and really having a chance to learn from industry professionals about how the filmmaking process. But one of the ancillary benefits, or one of the things that we heard after doing several of them, is the filmmakers that come in from around the country. They're in there interacting with the students. They're like, I've never had this experience. I've been in 100 film festivals with my film, and I've never had an experience like this. So I think the thing that we're doing here in Omaha is pretty unique to film festivals, and I think a lot of obviously the kids are benefiting from it, but I think the filmmakers are really appreciating it as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you were saying. It's kind of like a very good thing to have as a filmmaker. You have a tendency to like get so caught up in your own projects and your own things that you forget that there's another generation of people out there that you are directly a part of inspiring, whether it be a negative inspiration or positive. And like what you're doing with that, and like you're saying how they enjoy that, is a very positive aspect for our industry.
For sure.
Yeah.
And selfishly, I mean, just to speak directly to that, selfishly, like for 18 years, I've been watching all the films that the local filmmakers have made.
Yeah.
So selfishly, I want those to be better, right? Yeah. And I want, when a film comes to us, we want it to be great. But then when that film goes out, from Nebraska to other film festivals around the country, we want those films to represent our community well. So the better those are, the more professional those are, the better we look as a community, as a filmmaking body. Yeah. So that I think that's a big part of like wanting to train those kids up and show them kind of the right way and
Exactly.
make better films, and think about the story and make sure that your sound quality is good, and all that stuff is super important to us, and that's so that's really a big part of why we do what we do.
Yeah, and like going off of that, like another question to add on to this is like, what do you think is like Nebraska and Omaha's like biggest strengths and biggest weaknesses when it comes to like filmmaking?
That's a tough one to answer without, because I'm a guy, in my position, I want to be positive and supportive of everything. So I will always lean on everything's great and everyone's doing a great job, and but I would like to, I've left little roadmaps in what we've talked about so far as far as like we can all be better, and we can learn, make sure that the sound, get the sound off of the camera. Yeah. Right. Get the sound right on the actors, because you can tell when you do your cuts from the close up to the wide, if the microphone was on the camera, you can hear that. It's significant, and then you're trying to do it in post, and
it doesn't work out.
It doesn't work out. So and then also. Don't write a script and go shoot it tomorrow. Take some time and
really get to know the thing that you wrote, so that you can help the other people that are going to be helping you put it together.
Exactly. And does it matter? Like the thing that you wrote and the thing that you're making a film, like the content, like, does it matter? Like, why are we doing this? And hopefully there's a purpose behind everything that we do. I want the camera movements to be purposeful. I want the actions of the actors to be purposeful, and all that. It seems like little building bricks to the overall house, but you can have a little wood shack, or you can have a nice mansion. And I think the more, the pre-production stuff that we talked about, some of the technical things, the more, positive bricks that you put into your production, I think overall the film gets better. And you can't always necessarily see the differences. Some of them are like a better camera or a better, this or that, are obvious differences, but some of the subtle things will go towards making the whole better. And that's what I want. I want locally and I mean, nationally, I want everything to just be better and to be great, Yeah.
And like you said, selfishly, the whole point of doing all of this stuff is so that the new generation of people that are coming up that are interested don't leave us to go to a different place and then never come back. It's okay if you leave to go and learn and perfect your craft, and then if you never come back, I understand, but like we want people to see Omaha and Nebraska as actually film worthy, and people to come here and produce their things and create more interesting things utilizing, like Nebraska has so many different biomes that could be used for different things. Nebraska is a very like fertile ground for filmmaking. It's just a matter of getting people to realize that it's not a drive-through state.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we export so much of our talent, and that's one of the things I learned early on is very frustrating. We've got a great film school right down the road, you know, in Lincoln, and it seems like every kid that graduates, they're going to LA, they're going to Austin, they're going to New York. So we're exporting all of our. I've said that a lot in interviews over the years, like us exporting talent, and then I think, oh, I'm still here, so. I haven't exported myself yet, so we're not exporting all of our talent.
Not all of it, yeah. That's the thing.
We're still here.
We're still here,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
There's some of us that are here that are still trying to actually get like people excited about doing film here.
And that's the big part of.
And yeah, exactly. And like what you're doing with the Omaha Film Festival drastically helps people do that. And like that's what we're trying to do, because since I started doing NEEM, there's been a lot of people that I've met that are actually just wanting to do film work and wanting to do things. Yeah. And the only thing that we want to do with NEEM is to help people get connected with everybody. Okay. It's like a big, giant social networking attempt.
Love it.
Where we're trying to get everybody who's here doing film to say, hey, you know, we don't need to have a giant budget come in to do projects. We could do projects while we're here. Yep. And that will draw more people in to do projects here, because they're like, oh, Omaha, Nebraska has got a pretty good like film market going on. They produced a few pretty good projects, and that's what we want.
Yeah, all the short films that I was directing like 25 years ago were all, I was using film students, you know, because they want to make projects, and we're all working on. But what you found, and it's the whole film school or not, you know, that whole question. But what I found is when you're in film school, you kind of find a lane. Like everybody now just wants to be a director, and they want to shoot their own stuff, and that's great. But you know, like we talked about before, all the different positions are so vital to the whole. So you know, you find the kid that's interested in cinematography, and that's all he's reading the manual, and like he knows the camera, and like you want that guy shooting your movie. Yeah.
But then you don't want to put him on sound, because he's not going to know what he's doing.
But then there's going to be a guy girl, you know. There's going to be a person that all they care about is sound. Yeah. Like, that's the person you want doing the sound for your movie. Exactly. And then lighting, if someone's completely focused on that part of it. And so when you get into a big movie, now you can see the professionals. Oh, this person doesn't know anything about all this stuff, but man, they know lighting, and then they're not thinking about the overall. All they're thinking about is how we can make this thing look amazing. Exactly. And they spend all their time, and they do it, and you look at it, and you go, it does look amazing. Yeah, they did a good job. So, so all of those little elements. So that I learned that pretty, I think organically, but pretty early on is find people in the various lanes. And I use the football example a lot of times. Like Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback who ever lived, depending on your opinion. Yeah. But he's amazing, and his track record shows for it. Yeah. But if you had 11 Tom Bradys, like your football program would get killed, right? Because if he's the lineman, like a lineman's gonna just crush him. Yeah. You know, if he's going out for a pass and gets tackled it's over, right? Yeah. So. You need the guys in the trenches, you know, that are getting down and dirty, and you have to have that guy. Exactly. But then the running back, and I mean, everyone's cut differently. So put a room full of different, diverse type of people together, and then I think you can make some magic from that.
Yeah, exactly. It's also like you know what a stagehand is.
Of course, yeah.
So like stagehand work, when you go in there, you get put in a department, you work in that department, and by the time you're done with the task that you're supposed to do in that department, the whole stage is built, the stuff is ready to go. Yep. It's the same premise when you're on a film set. Like you get there and you do your task, and you make sure your task is done, and everything will turn out the proper way, the way that it's supposed to. And you don't have to worry about whether or not, like you were saying, you don't have to worry about whether or not the director knows what he's doing, because the director gave you a task to lighting. You're supposed to set up the lights, all right? Make sure the lighting's good, and then everybody else that's on the other parts will take care of their tasks as well. Yep. And it's like a community. One thing that I've noticed working on film sets is it is by far, out of all the jobs I've worked, the most family setting I've ever worked in.
You're rowing. I mean, you're in a boat and you're rowing together.
Exactly. It's like you could be working on a set for like 2 weeks, and at the beginning of it, you're strangers, and at the end of it, you're like best friends, knowing each other forever. It's like you go through the trenches together, and you come back out, and you guys are unified. And that's kind of the thing that we want to instill and let the future generations know is that, like, yes, you may be the director, but you're just the head of the family for the time that you're there.
Right.
And like everybody knows that that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the tough part is in terms of productions, like there's not that many big productions in our community. So we'd love, the more of that, the better, because now we can start training up because if you're and I get it, if you graduate from UNL with your film degree and all right, I wanna start making movies, and you're like, well, what movies are being done in Omaha? Oh, nothing in Lincoln. Where are the movies being made? So they're going to go to Atlanta. They're going to go to Los Angeles.
You're going to go to Austin. I've worked in all those markets.
Yeah.
And I would say that Austin's the most chill market I've ever worked in.
Yeah.
But like, LA is rough. A lot of people, when they go out to LA, they think, oh yeah, we're going to make it really good, but it's not the way it is.
Yeah.
But
if you know somebody, great.
Yeah, if you
don't,
know somebody, if you have plan when you go out there and you know the person, perfect.
Yeah.
But if you don't know anybody and you're going out there just jumping in the deep end, you're gonna have a rough time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your second AC is like, oh, that's a person who's a little bit further down the rung.
Yeah.
But oh no, they're a dad, and then their dad has been second ACs for all these. So you kind of have to know people in those large marketplaces. So so the goal is to try and make a marketplace here in town, and so we'll see what happens, right? So hopefully between us and what you guys are doing, we'll get some cool stuff going.
Oh yeah. We have some big stuff coming up. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna have you give like a short list of like advice that you would have for people getting in the industry, anybody in the audience anything you would like to do. But I don't want to do it here. I want you to go in front of the green screen to do it. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we have that right here.
Yeah.
So let's walk.
Yeah.
Love it.
After you.
Cool. It gets asked a lot. Like what's your biggest piece of advice? My biggest piece of advice, I guess, is to be cool, right? I've always said that. If you're cool, like on set, so the movie we worked on last year, there was 100 crew people, and there's different levels of personality, and there's different levels of whatever. But if you're the cool person, if you're the fun person to work with, or if I look over and that person always seems to be sitting on an apple box and is never really working, I mean, I've got a Rolodex in my head all the time of the people that are hard workers, or that showed up with ideas, or that showed up with like, we're going to do this, or we're going to make something cool. And if I've got 6 PAs, or they're just, and I say, hey, can someone grab those sandbags? And I notice that there's one person that's always the first person to do it and get the stuff over there. Like, I got a Rolodex in my head of all these people that are like, that's the person that was really fun on set. I really enjoyed working, because like we talked about over in the chairs, is you're going to be working with someone potentially for a couple months. You don't want that person to be a bummer, right? So obviously know your stuff, right? If you're in lighting, you're watching YouTube videos and reading books on how to light, and if you're the editor, you're watching YouTube channels and learning all the different editing pieces. And but ultimately, my big thing is, if you're just cool, if you're fun to be around, that goes a long ways to just making a person that someone wants to hire and someone wants to have as part of their set.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I think we're good here, guys.